So 2017, it started off with a massive bang for us. We had just started the year acquiring a sponsorship from ZQ Racing. We found out that the ZQ Racing headquarters was actually a 20-minute drive from where I lived, and after a bit of talking with the fellas, I decided to make my way down, and I met the owner, met the marketing manager, and one thing led to another, and we acquired our first sponsor ever. The next big thing for Darksided in 2017 was going to the Zen League Season 1 offline qualifiers at ESL Studios.
Zen Season 1 calls is really a land where not only did I get to sort of get along with some of the players and meet some of those guys, being a CS manager at the time, I really was able to connect with the DS management guys as well. Boys did really well, actually qualifying for the main league, which in itself was pretty amazing, considering where they've come from as well. So that in itself was a great experience for Darksided and also those players. So yeah, moving on from there, they've done a really great job.
Signing Somniac. Having Xavier join, or Somniac join the Darksided FGC team was a really good day for me because he's a really good friend of mine and I know what he's capable of when he puts his mind to it. So yeah, it was like nothing but a good thing. He's had a really good future, really good past as a fighting game player, and I know he has a bright future, so it's nothing but a win, you know?
I need you now, 'cause I don't know.
WPGI Season 1 LAN was one of my favorite events for Darksided, if not my favorite event so far.
Funnily enough, we are on the Gold Coast and that's where it was.
WPGI was a fantastic event just in terms of how much fun it was actually. In hindsight, coming out to the event itself, out on the Gold Coast of course, in that Gfinity lounge I believe.
It was also the first time that I had realized Darksided was more of a family than, you know, a business.
The team was great, everyone was, you know, really nice, had a great time. Yeah, it was like a really good all-round event. I remember having like Korean barbecue afterwards. It was a lot of fun.
So the next major part for the year was we acquired our next sponsor, which was ViewSonic. And the main calling for us to go towards the sponsor was in OHN 14 last year. We noticed they were the main sponsor, and seeing the support that they had for the FGC was something that we wanted to match with them because we have a passion in the FGC. We support our Street Fighter, our Smash, and our Injustice players.
I am Sydney. What an event. I had the absolute pleasure of being able to work on it as a player manager, so I got to meet some of the all-time greats in esports and seeing how those players interact with their organization and how they do things really gave me a lot of crucial insight into things we can be doing better at Darksided and moving forward.
So I Am Sydney was incredible event. I wasn't actually working in a Darksided capacity at the time, actually working with ESL, but we did actually manage to get ourselves out to the event as well. We had Smite going on at the time and little bits and pieces here and there as well. So shortly after I Am Sydney, maybe even just a couple of days, I had a small little bit of down period time in which I had to pack my things for ESEA Season 24 Global LAN Challenge, which probably still stands to be one of my favourite events simply because of the international experience for those CS guys and really how it came out all together. I mean, I believe I flew out a couple of days after IEM, in which it was a grueling 25-hour flight, which I'm sure the players are very well aware of as well and how that went out. But yeah, in terms of the event itself, it was really fantastic. Met some of the guys at the ESL production and how they like to run things, and they were really great. In terms of how the players went, we went up against Godsend a couple of times. That was incredible. A 16-14 finish, which still breaks my heart to this day, and beat up to Mirage. But yeah, I mean, those guys were fantastic. The event was incredible. Got to do some sightseeing as well.
nothing really hurt as much as the CSGO team leaving. You know, seeing them kind of split the way they did really left a mark. BAM 9, now this goes down as my favorite event that I've attended. One of the best, just 2 days of fully fueled FGC action. If there's a fighting game that you play, you name it and it will be there. We had players competing in Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, Smash Brothers, and pretty much everything else in between. We got 2 golden trophies, I do believe, coming from Smash Brothers and Mortal Kombat, both Sparta and Wasminator winning out in their respective titles. Heroes of the Storm. Getting into that, we went off to a rocky start. As I know, Matt and I had our differences about wanting to go with the Heroes of the Storm team. He was really against it, but I made sure to push for the HOTS team to my dying breath, and I can safely say that we made the correct choice. I'm really happy that I was, a very strong backer to go with these guys. And of course, it paid off when they eventuated into winning a trip to BlizzCon. I remember the day very, very well. I was unfortunately at work doing my, ordinary work stuff, checking out Twitter every couple minutes. Seeing that they had won, I nearly broke down of happiness. I was so excited. I think I was in the middle of like an interaction with a customer or something. I was like, they won, and they're like, excuse me? I was like, good one!
Hong Kong eSports Festival. Okay, so this is the first time this year that I traveled for a fighting game tournament. This is the first time I've been overseas in like 6 years, so I was really excited to go. Traveling with the boys is always a lot of fun. Yeah, it was a great event. The boys seemed to have fun. They felt like they learned a lot. They were playing a lot of online in the apartment. We made some good friends with the guys at Talent Esports, and yeah, it was really great.
Flying by wire, we cross a green line. We ride fast, they take their sweet time. We only want to have a good time, good time.
In early August this year, we had the absolute pleasure of furthering our partnership with ViewSonic from more than just a sponsor to a title sponsorship. So what this meant was that we would no longer just be Darksided, it would be ViewSonic Darksided. When we think of like quality audio products, everything we had in mind, everything we could agree on was that Sennheiser offered the best in their role. And being able to work with such an amazing brand like Sennheiser was really kind of milestone for Darksided.
In 2017, Darksided decided to move into supporting some of the Australian streamers, like smaller, well, not small streamers, actually they're pretty big in their own rights, and I think they're great. So we have Nacy and Ryrie, both of them really cool people, really creative.
Seagate has been really great. Those guys just came into Darksided shortly before PAX, and interacting with them has been great. Of course, being a hard drive company, storage is pretty important for us. So. Cool Masters actually a bit of a funny story actually, because I had been quite intent on actually picking those sponsors, that sponsor up, simply because of the products that they provide and how I've seen them in the scene in the past. So that one was a really long find.
So Rocket League has been a game that we wanted to get into for quite a while, but the kind of like avenues for entry have all been a little bit obscure, but we finally found our way in by acquiring one of the top Rocket League teams in the scene at the moment. So really happy to have them on board and really excited to see what they can pull out in the future.
PAX stands to be probably one of the biggest events for Darksided, and my involvement as well about how that went in, simply because just of how much we were doing at the time in terms of sponsor interaction, event participation. We had Street Fighter going, Smite as well, and of course our sponsors, which had booths on the floor.
What really excited me was the Throwdown Street Fighter 5 tournament there. It was also sponsored or like partnered with Red Bull. But yeah, it was cool to see the boys get invited to this tournament to play, and there was like this UFC style cage where they stepped in to play this like one-on-one fighting game. It was like amazing production quality.
I was at a point where I was playing Gears of War competitively, I think with you or a few other people, and the scene had died, and I was like, okay, like there's never going to be like an Australian Gears of War community again. I loved esports, I loved looking at all the brands at the time, like your Mind Freak, your Avant, like all those established brands were so cool.